Okay, so Snir Levi, CEO and founder of Nominis. Did I pronounce that right? Is it Nominis or Nominis?
It's Nominis.
Nominis. Welcome to the podcast. I'm excited to hear more about you, more about Nominis. I've come across quite a few of the reports that you guys have put out over the last few months, and they're very enlightening. Welcome to Beyond the Code, the podcast where industry experts and brilliant legal minds discuss the impact of new emerging technologies. So, Snir, I don't know how familiar you are with our podcast and with the format, but before we go into Nominis, I like to go kind of do a deep dive into you. You've had a pretty interesting techie background. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience? Who are you, Snir?
Okay. So my name is Snir. I'm the founder and CEO of Nominis. Before Nominis, worked in multiple financial companies, development, consulting companies, completely out of the crypto space. And then over time, I was introduced to the Bitcoin during 2017. That was the first time when my first interaction with crypto.
What were you doing then?
I mainly worked over the years as a CTO of financial companies.
Okay.
But during the time, again, my job was nothing to do with cryptocurrencies. It was consulting for, let's say, law offices and
Law
lawyers
offices.
and etc. Yeah,
Really?
law
In what
offices,
capacity?
lawyers. And it was a full-time job. I worked at a company that was the thing. That was
But
what
what,
we
like tech
provided.
consulting for lawyers?
No, economical. I'm a financial guy. I have an MBA degree and
Okay.
in economics, and that was my
So what,
my path
advising
until
firms like on specific litigation cases, or how they could be
no
more
efficient,
efficient economically?
efficient.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you're working as
And
like a economic advisor to law firms?
yes, and then after it, I moved more into the forex, let's say forex side, but not speculative. I've worked with companies, with huge companies, about hedging of positions in the forex market, mainly USD, ILS. That again, it was a combination of tech and consulting. During that time, I was responsible on developing the company's platform, which again used by big companies for hedging of forex positions. And then in, I think it was 2021, I've started working in Celsius. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me
Yes.
what that was like. I have a bit of an idea because I was also working with Celsius very closely as one of their outside counsels from when they were a small team and as they grew. So I was very much aware of the whirlwind that was Celsius. You started working there in 2022?
No, 2021, I think.
2021. Okay. So what was that like?
It was good at the beginning. I mean, we were a small company. I think I was employee number 200, something like that.
Okay.
Super talented people in the Israeli branch and also, of course, abroad. But, I mean, I've met so many new people in Celsius. Some of them, the majority of them found some good positions after Celsius because they were really good guys, really good people. Um, And then Celsius grew really fast. I was in the security department of Celsius, responsible for everything about detecting anomaly detection in logins and making sure that there is no illicit access to accounts and etc. And then again, the company grew really fast. It looked like a heaven from inside. But yeah, and then it all collapsed.
Number go up.
Then it all collapsed. Unfortunately, it was
So
It
walk
was
me
a
through
shock.
that collapse moment. Like what was it like on the inside? Like you're a security guy focused on, you're looking at everything from your tinted glasses, like everything's okay on the security side, right? Ultimately
Yeah,
wasn't security issues that brought Celsius down, and all of a sudden
no,
you probably start seeing cracks in the walls. Like what was that like?
it was a shock. I mean, at least for the me and my colleagues, no one expected it. I mean, there was the crypto winter started. People started withdrawing funds, which is legit. I mean, there was a chaos in the industry.
It's like post
Uh,
Luna.
Post Luna, exactly. And I mean, we worked a lot during the time. And then suddenly I remember I woke up at the middle of the night. For some reason, I decided to check my emails. I don't know why. I like almost felt it. And then I saw the message that, Celsius announced about stopping withdrawals. Me and my colleagues knew at the exact time that the clients knew. We weren't prepared for it, and it was a shock. I mean, I couldn't sleep after it. I just couldn't understand how can it be. I mean, 3 months before that, it seems like we're going to an IPO, and everything is so amazing, and everyone is going to be millionaires, and the clients are happy. And then suddenly, boom, nothing.
Wild. And as a security
Wild.
guy, you probably also, got more concerned that now you guys are going to become a target, right? You have all these angry consumers that their funds are locked on the system. Is that
Yeah.
something that was on your radar?
Yeah, but I wasn't responsible for this. It was more about the managers during that time.
Hmm.
Um, when we're talking about security, there is physical security and there is cyber security.
Right.
Um, I was on the cybersecurity side, nothing to do with the rest of the things. Um, and yeah, it was. I mean, it was a shock. That was the first time when usually, I'm work. When you work in a place, you see the if it goes well, if it doesn't go well. Like in Celsius, it was nothing. Like suddenly, and everyone was shocked about it. I mean, the majority. I assume that some people knew about it, but wow. I mean, me personally, I saw Celsius as a place to grow. Really, it was an amazing job. I mean,
I
big
guess that was
company.
your main foray from a professional standpoint into the blockchain.
It is, and it was a good name during the time, and it had at the peak, it had like 40 billion assets under management. That's huge. That's huge. And it seems like everything is going well, and the model is working and everything, but seems like we knew nothing.
Wild.
We knew nothing. I mean, there were employees which were there, of course, before me, and they had tokens and they had options and everything, and they never sold anything because they really believed in the company. The majority of the people, never earn anything from Celsius except for salary, because we really believe that it's going to be something huge. And some people, they had millions in options and tokens and etc. They never sold it. And then one day, zero.
Yeah. I remember one of the PAs on paper was like the richest person in the company because she had been like the second or third employee, and the amount of tokens that she had and the price that she got them at were like,
Yeah.
she she would have been a hundreds of
Yeah.
millionaire. Insane. Okay, so that was Celsius. Definitely
A roller coaster.
a roller coaster. And then I presume you were like a little bit shell shocked after that.
Oh, definitely. I think that was a huge shock. I mean, never faced anything like that in my life. And of course, I do not wish this for anyone. Yeah, that's a disaster. I mean, I think that, you know, companies are failing, companies are going to bankruptcy, and it happens. But one of the baddest thing that happened in Celsius is that a lot of good people, now they have in their name, in their resume, I've worked in Celsius, you know, and they're good people. They never knew. They never knew. And still, and it's always, I think that one of the lessons my life lessons that I got from this is that, people always, sometimes they blame the victim. I mean, how didn't you know, that when there is someone in a poisonous relationship, for example. Okay, why didn't you leave? How didn't you know? And you don't understand it until you're part of it and you're like in a bubble and everything seems okay. But from the outside, a lot of bad things happen and you aren't aware. And I think it was the first time in my life when for the first time I understood that when you're inside a poisonous relationship, it's very difficult to understand this.
Yeah. And
And this is what it was,
do you find
a
that like
poisonous relationship.
with other meeting people in the industry, like, I don't know, potential investors or customers or vendors that you work with, and they ask you, where did you work previously before founding Nominis? And you say
Yeah,
Celsius, like, do you find that you get a lot of like raised eyebrows?
no, no, no. I think that today, definitely no. I can tell you that the months after it happened, yeah, people they didn't know who's bad and who's good, yeah. But today, people understand. It's like same idea as people who work in FTX. I'm not talking about managers, but need to understand that I assume maybe 95% of such companies, they don't really know what's happening. They're just going to work. They do what they do. They're not exposed to the everything that is going on about the financials of the company or about strategic decisions. They really don't know. They're just, going. I'm sure that the same thing happened with FTX, which was, we can't even compare. Yeah, FTX is complete disaster. Yeah, what's happening there? What happened there? But people really don't know. Today when I have nothing to,
Yeah, yeah.
it was part of my life. It was a job that I worked in. There is nothing to hide about it.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about today's sponsor. First Read is an AI tool built specifically for lawyers. I've been using it at my firm for over a year now, and I honestly can't imagine my practice without it. I use it as a companion throughout my whole workflow. It runs the first read, literally, of any legal document I'm reviewing. It helps me draft from scratch, and when I'm in a deep, complex piece, I could literally just talk to it. For a commercial lawyer, that's invaluable. But here's what really made me want to work with them. They're a small startup and they care, like really care. If you have an issue, you can get the founder himself in your DMs and he fixes it in minutes. Oh, and the pricing, way more accessible than their competitors. If you want to give it a whirl, head over to firstread.com/sign up and make sure to use BYND, the code 10 at checkout for an additional 10% off. If you do try it, please reach out to me and tell me what you think. I genuinely love to hear your experience. Yeah, and I know that it's a bit of a double-edged sword as well. I know,
It is.
my partner, Yarden from there, who is the head of regulation at Celsius, and very often we meet people, and on one hand, you could say, I was the head of regulation at Celsius, definitely a valuable learning experience, a large company, a significant role. There's a lot of positive that goes with that. On the other hand, people hear the name Celsius, and like you said, like alarms go off in their head. A
Yeah.
lot of people were burned on a personal level, so it's definitely a double-edged sword. Okay, so you come out of there, you're a little bit shell shocked, and how does that take you to ultimately founding Nominis?
So after I left Celsius, I left with a partner, and we started a company as it was Explorisk at the beginning, but it was all over. I mean, we tried to build some huge machine that can do security and compliance and risk and to solve all the problems that we saw in Celsius. But the problem with this approach is that you need a lot of money to compete with all those types of use cases that you're building. And we built a big platform at that point, but eventually we saw that clients, the majority of the clients, they need compliance, they need AML. So we had clients, the majority of the clients that we had, they needed AML, transaction monitoring. In addition to this, we did some managed services during the times. So basically, it was a combination of a platform and managed services.
Hmm.
And then around June 2023, we raised the pre-seed from Mastercard.
Hmm.
There was a program called FinSec Labs,
Hmm.
which was backed by Mastercard. So we raised a small pre-seed during the time, and then approximately 10 months later, we got our first, let's say, big investment from a VC called Hyperwise, in addition to an investment from Michael Shaulov and other angels in the industry.
Hmm.
And the idea was, I mean, during the time we had like, I think 5 to 10 clients. The majority of them use their platform for AML. And we say, okay, we have something that's working. Let's see how we can replicate it, grow the team, make it bigger, and start selling in scale. And then it wasn't Nominis at that point. It was still a big platform. And then 4 months later, around August
When you
2024,
say a big platform, you mean that like you were shooting in all directions, like you had tons
yeah,
of different
yeah,
features, but it was hard
yeah,
to
yeah,
pinpoint what exactly you guys are.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That was an issue. And then around August 2024, me and my partner, we've decided that we want to take the company to different directions. And then we decided to split. So he continued with the managed services, and at that point I was still the CTO of the company. And then on August 2024, I became the CEO, and I've decided to remove like 80% of the things that happened, that the features that we have in the platform, just focus on AML.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, over time, we understood that you can't do everything. So we've changed the name, we've changed the product completely. Okay, we've removed a lot of features, and it's not just removing, it's completely redesign, rebuild everything from the
Hmm.
architecture, backend, front end, etc. I mean, during that time, there were like me and maybe 1 or 2 employees in the company. And I've started building everything from scratch. We've changed the name during that point. We've focused more on the AML, transaction monitoring, compliance.
So
And at the
what
beginning,
are you guys today?
it
I'm
was
saying, but
it was
what? So
ex-
what's your main like? If I ask you like, what does
yeah.
the platform do? What
Mhm.
and what who are your competitors and how you
Sure.
distinguish yourself from your competitors?
Good. So we're doing crypto compliance and investigations. That's what the platform is doing.
Okay.
Everything about AML and blockchain intelligence. We're competing today. I mean, it depends. We have small clients, we have large clients like law enforcement agencies and etc. Some of the names in the market are Chainalysis, Elliptic, TRM Labs, and etc. This is the market that we're currently competing in with a different approach. The idea when we started Nominis was to automate the process of risk screening to make it more suitable for, let's say, vast exchanges, payment providers to
Hmm.
conduct risk screening. Because during that time and until today, the majority of the competitors in the market are dealing with mainly with forensic investigation. I mean,
Hmm.
they were built for law enforcement agencies mindset, but they were implemented by exchanges because that's what they knew that exists in the market.
Okay.
And we said, okay, you don't really need a forensic solution. You need a risk winning solution that will help you do the things more automated, less friction, more focused on automating the money trail and the risk winning process. And even if you don't have super talented people in the company because they not from the crypto space, they will be able to understand the risk and to get faster decisions.
Hmm.
That's how we started. And then over time, we added some huge things. And the approach became a little bit different. We've continued with the risk screening and everything behind it, but we said, okay, we need some very good and unique data. So we've started focusing on detecting illicit activities. And in order to do this, we've developed techniques and AI engines and scraping and bots engines that just ran all day and started collecting information from different sources, from dark web, from social media. We sent people physically to stores to get information about exchanges and illicit actors and OTC desks. And we've built a huge database of again, legit exchanges, illicit actors, terror financing, child abuse, all the bad stuff. And then over time, when we started competing more head to head with other vendors, especially with, in banks and law enforcement agencies, they saw that we have data that no one else have. And they said, okay, guys, you're doing really something different. And that's how we got our first deals. Since 2024, the company grew both in terms of employees and in terms of clients. I think tenfold.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I want to talk a little bit about some of your insights because you guys have uncovered some really valuable data, especially on a lot of the geopolitical things that are happening in our region. But I want to ask you first, like, what was that like? Like, you are a tech guy, you were initially
Hmm.
CTO, probably something that you felt very comfortable in, and then you made this dramatic change to being a CEO, which has like an entirely different perspective and roles and responsibilities. And it seems like you did a phenomenal job in just like turning everything around. What was that like?
Um, at the beginning, it was a little bit difficult, of course. You know, you're coming from a position of more techy to something that is more like politics and sales and etc. I think fortunately, even on my previous roles, when I was a CTO, I was highly involved with the sales process, connecting clients and pitching clients. So from this perspective, it wasn't new to me. During the time, I've tried to find people that will help me with anything that I couldn't do by myself. There are, of course, more talented people than me in sales and everything. So I started building relationships with resellers and agents, and try to bring people that were more experienced in the sales process. And I was lucky in this. I found some good people. At that time, the majority of them are still working with me, and they helped me. I think that, to be honest, I was lucky. I just had the right people at the right time, but I owe them a lot.
That's and those are the people that you grow with. Those are right. Those are your like first initial employees and advisors, investors. Like they're along on the journey with you.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the like really cool insights that you guys have uncovered. Tell me a little bit about like some of the real crazy stories that you guys have investigated and brought forward and what it was like behind the scenes.
Oh, we have a lot. We have a lot. I mean, as part of our job, as I mentioned, we are able to collect a lot of information that no one else in the world has.
So
We
let's
have,
start like with like the most recent. Like, tell me what's going on in the Straits of Hormuz. I know that there was like a whole, a
okay.
lot of talk on the radio without people necessarily understanding what's going on behind it. That that the IRGC was kind of like taxing people in crypto as a way to evade sanctions. I know you guys put out quite a bit of information on that. Like, what does that look like behind the scenes?
Yeah. So, I mean, the concept of taxing people for going through the straits, it's still very theoretical. I mean, it's probably happening, but it's not in a large scale. We still need to remember that not a lot of ships are going through the straits, and even the ships that are going through the straits, some of them, like from Pakistan and other countries, they're not really paying. So again, the idea, I mean, it's there. By the way, we developed some sort of a model to detect suspicious wallets and transactions that might be linked to such cases. Super cool. The idea was to take a huge problem that no one knows how to solve, and then to show eventually that the case that you've just mentioned can be narrowed to between 5 to 10 wallets. That's it. So you take a huge problem and you say, okay, how am I going to find the companies or the wallets that link to this? And by building a model, you're able to narrow it to 5 to 10 wallets. That's super cool, but that's a different topic, a large one. But again, the idea is that basically today, with what we do, we have a lot of visibility to what's going on in the blockchain, not just in terms of everyone can see the transfers, but we add the layer of intelligence that's not just showing the amounts, but actually showing who moved those funds. What is the name of the entity or the person or anything like that? And today in Iran, we need to remember that, especially during the war, there was no internet. No internet means that the majority of the people couldn't move funds at that time. And let's say that the volume in Iran during the time was very low when the war started. But I think that one of the things that people miss in this topic is that they try to find outflows from Iran or inflows to Iran always, but that's not the case. Since 2016, 2017, IRGC started to collect crypto assets outside of Iran. They approach, we need all to remember this. The idea is not to bring money to Iran. I mean, that's one of the things that they want to do. But from, dictatorship, think about it all over the world. Yeah, take a look at all previous cases. They don't want to hold assets inside their country. They want to move assets outside of the country. They want to collect assets outside Iran. And we see it in many places. For example, not a lot of people know this, but the Ayatollah, for example, one of them, has an apartment in the UK in front of the Israeli embassy that he bought.
The
It is
Ayatollah,
actually,
the Ayatollahs own an apartment directly
yep,
across from the Israeli embassy. Wow. And is that
in the
something
UK.
that we know only via on-chain data, or is
It's
that something that's
off-chain.
widely known?
That's completely off-chain. That's
Okay.
completely off-chain data. But what I'm trying to explain here is that those people don't try to hold assets inside Iran. They took everything that they can from crypto assets to fiat and acquiring assets outside of Iran. So it's no longer isolated to Iran. So everyone who is trying to find gas inflows and outflows from Iran, they're not really relevant. This money is already outside of Iran. It is mixed up in, in exchanges. You can see, for example, flows of you can see flows from legit exchanges, and those flows link to Iran, but you will never know it. You will never know it because it's from all the big exchanges. So what I'm saying is that this money is already outside of the Iranian financial system. It's already mixed up with other funds
It's
across the
already laundered.
blockchain.
Yeah.
It's already laundered. And
So
that's what they try to do.
few things. So again, just going back to who are your customers, right? Is this somebody who's looking at you or TRM or Chainalysis, or somebody who's taking you as a layer on top of those other existing analytics platforms? 'Cause I know most law enforcement and exchanges are probably already using one of those. It's definitely hard to, educate a market, what we say in Hebrew, lechanech shuk, right? Like you already have
Yeah,
everybody using, Apple or Android. If you're going to come and you're going to release a new operating system, very difficult to get people to switch over. So is your solution a solution that kind of complements or sits on top, or is it directly competing, or is it both? And do you have something for like some of the smaller players in the market? Because I know all three of the existing major players are, they have phenomenal solutions, but they're a little bit more on the pricier side. Very often we speak with like small teams who are releasing, an early stage product, but where they have high regulatory exposure because the volume of transactions that are going through their system and the ability for them to screen those in an affordable manner is challenging.
exactly. So we have four types of clients today. So it really
Hmm.
depends. Let's start from the big ones. Law enforcement agencies, neobanks, financial institutions, like you've mentioned, usually they have a set of tools. They have a set of platforms. They can either use, one of our competitors and on top of it, use us. And maybe even another one or two more. That's usually what's happening with financial institutions. They have a budget. They need the widest coverage that they can. So once we're able to prove them that we have data that no one else in the world have, they say, okay, guys, that's really good. Okay, you helped us with terror financing, you helped us with illicit activities, with high risk jurisdictions, and etc. We want you. And then, as I've mentioned, that they have us, they have other clients as well, other vendors as well. That's for law enforcement agencies, neobanks, and financial institutions.
Hmm.
On the other side, we have something that's called starter package. Super unique one. I think that we have today over 30 clients just from the last year that started using the starter package. It's probably the most affordable package in the market,
Okay.
very much focused on those early stage companies that now entering the space or just obtain their license. They need an AML solution. They don't want, to compromise about vendors that are not doing a good job. So they say, okay, I'm okay with I want something good. However, I don't want to pay K for this because I only have like 100 transactions every month. And that's exactly where Nominis is taking the place. Everything about pricing is transparent on our website. And like I mentioned, last year alone, we had like 30 clients that started using the starter package. Super easy to use. You go into the website, you sign up, you get 3 days trial with a credit card, and that's it. Very
And
easy, instant use.
it's billed on like transaction volume, like based on how many transactions
Yes.
you screen. Okay.
Yes, the risk screening, yes. And that's exactly what those companies need. Those 70-80% of the clients in the market, the exchanges, banks, payment providers, that's their language. They're talking that their language is transactions, screening, wallets that they need to check every month. So,
Yeah.
and that's completely aligned
They
with
need
that,
to be
what they do.
compliant, and they don't want to. And the issue is typically like being compliant means also like being not financially viable. So then people need to figure out like, do I
Hmm.
need to make money or do I need to stay out of jail? And then it's usually kind of a mix of both. But
Yeah.
okay, that's really interesting. And I guess we'll chat a little bit more about that offline afterwards because I'm very very curious about that. The next thing I
Sure.
wanted to ask you is I don't know if you could tell, but I have these like bags under my eyes because I discovered Claude Code a few days ago, and I have
Hmm.
been nonstop vibe coding things until the wee hours of the morning. And AI is just changing everything dramatically. I have no doubt that it's come into your world as well. Whereas once upon a time, if I wanted to try and get some kind of on chain forensics, I had to plug in wallets and click here and add trees and go that. I'm sure that there are AI tools that allow you to do more than that. I know that you guys have your Ask KYT
Ask it.
solution. I don't know where else AI is coming into your product, but I would love to hear a little bit more about it.
Yeah. So Ask it is, think about it like a blockchain explorer.
Okay.
LLM blockchain explorer. So the idea is that basically everyone, that's an completely open source. I mean, everyone can use it. We're going to add, I assume this week, support for 6 additional UTXO based blockchains: Zcash, Dash, Dodge,
Wow.
Cardano, I think Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. And the idea is that you can, write in free language, show me the transactions of this wallet, which cluster this wallet belongs to, when it was active, when it was sent funds, the amounts, and etc. In again, for anyone can use it and just write in a free language, any language that he wants. Same like Blockchain Explorer, but in a human readable format. It can explain you about transactions, clustering, super easy. And I can tell you that why it was important for us to add 6 additional UTXO based blockchains, because for Bitcoin, you have today some good blockchain explorers, but for other, let's say for other blockchains, UTXO based, they're not good.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, let's make it easier for people to ask questions about wallets and transactions. So that's one thing, but that's what we call, that's just an open source tool that we provided for the community. We use the approach that we used in the Ask It, we used it inside the platform for basically, think about it like that. You conduct risk screening for a wallet. You see a lot of red flags. And now, as a compliance officer or analyst, you want to narrow it down. So you can click on the AI support that we have and just ask what were the highest what is the highest exposure to terror financing, or which wallet, or how far is it, and etc. And just
Wow.
to talk with the wallet about the attribution, about compliance, about how far a specific risk from the wallet, and get instant answers about it in a way that you can understand. That's one of the uses that we do today with AI in our platform. That's, of course, in addition to data collecting from Chinese websites, filtering the hints that we got, understanding the context of wallets. We use a lot of AI in our platform, but not just to say we have AI, but actually to collect information and to make it easier for the clients to use.
Amazing. Okay, talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on the industry. So you're obviously very tapped in with all the insights that you get. You speak to customers, you speak to law enforcement. Presumably, you have like a pretty broad view of the different parts of the industry. What are your thoughts on where things are now? Obviously, I'm not asking what your thoughts are on the price of Bitcoin, although I would love to get your thoughts on that as well, since you're in a originally came into here through as a Bitcoiner. But kind of what is your sense from speaking to some of your customers? Where do you think things are going to go from a regulatory standpoint? Stablecoins, what volume of transactions are you seeing? Is it going up? Do you think it's going to be more? Give me your spill the beans.
Yeah, so definitely. So first, I think that today we grew up. I told you I'm since 2017. I grew up in let's say, in a world where there was Bitcoin and it was mainly about anti-institutional and anonymity and etc. And we're no longer in this world. I mean, we see that the adoption today from institutionals, it's not about Bitcoin. I mean, some of them hold it as part of the treasury, speculations and etc. Less trading, more as a, value to store value, just to diversify their portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of the banks today that want to enter the crypto space, it's completely not about Bitcoin. It's about stablecoins. We see it growing very fast. My prediction is that in few years, stablecoins market cap will be probably higher than the Bitcoin. Stablecoins will control the market eventually if we keep, uh, in this phase. If we'll keep like that, stablecoins will eventually cross the market cap of Bitcoin even, and it will be the main usage of crypto. So the old world of Bitcoin, it will still be existing, but for different so like I've mentioned, two use cases. First, diversification of portfolio, then you buy Bitcoin. We see it from some big institutional players.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say that the more day-to-day use case is stable coins. And that makes, by the way, all the world of tokens and etc. It's slowly dying. I think that, until today, I invested in the past in tokens and etc. and just lost everything. Um, there are barely tokens that really have utility. That's still an issue that wasn't solved until today. We saw that with tokens. We saw that with NFT. So the world is now split at stable coins and Bitcoin, basically. Of course, there is Ethereum and etc., which is same idea as Bitcoin for speculations and etc. But the old world of tokens and ICOs, it's slowly dying.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's a good thing. Like, it's less fun, but it's inevitable that the market matures at some point.
It is. It's a different use case. I mean, you see the shifting more from the meme coins and etc. more to gambling. A lot of gambling in crypto. A lot of gambling platforms. Prediction markets, which is a nice name for gambling. But
I wouldn't go there. But that's for a different podcast. Are you looking at a lot of analytics related to prediction markets?
I mean, we're less into this field of prediction markets. We did some investigations about some, let's say, incidents that were linked to geopolitics events that seems like there was some internal information. We did some
Nah.
analysis about such cases, but in general, I think that's, by the way, one of the things that I'm constantly saying over the last 6 to 12 months, since prediction markets became a huge thing, I think we'll see more and more startups entering this field of detecting
Market
internal
manipulation.
manipulations,
Yeah.
market manipulation, market surveillance. There are companies today, good companies, not a lot of them. We will probably see more and more, and I think that's a very good topic.
Yeah, for our next podcast.
Definitely.
Very cool. Snir, thank you so much for joining me. So I always like at the end to give people a plug. So you guys have a lot of very interesting tools available for our audience who are listening, who are potential customers of yours. Where could they find out more information about Nominis, and what message do you want to leave to our audience?
So first, our website contains everything I told you, from the basic information to even sign up, instant access to the platform. So every early stage, mature company can use our platform, and we welcome everyone, of course, to test it. And again, what we've built, the idea is to be affordable on one hand without compromising on data. And the way that we see it is that compliance shouldn't be something that shouldn't be a burden today. That's what we try to achieve with Nominis. And I really hope, that over the years, people will understand that, again, compliance shouldn't be a burden. It should help you. And yeah, that's the bottom line.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Snir. It's been great, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Beyond the Code, the podcast where industry experts and brilliant legal minds discuss the impact of new emerging technologies. I'm your host, Yitzi Hammer, a lawyer and tech enthusiast. Join us as we explore the legal, regulatory, and ethical issues surrounding AI, blockchain, and more. Get ready to go beyond the code and stay ahead of the game.